Hello and welcome to another Boxer's Car Fix. So what we're going to do is start by disconnecting the battery because we're going to be changing the spark plug. So to avoid any unnecessary issues, we're going to disconnect the battery to start with. Just take off the negative cable and pop it somewhere where it's not going to come back into contact with the battery or the body. We're going to start by taking off the engine cover, and you're going to need a 10mm socket in order to do this. It's not on there tight, just not pretty loose. Just undo them. You can see them here. There go on some studs on the top of the engine. Just undo those, pop somewhere safe. At the back there's normally some plastic clips, but this one doesn't have them. We don't need to remove them. It's normally just pull up with a screwdriver. Okay, so now we can see the actual coil, ignition coil pack. We're going to start by disconnecting this. Just push down on the catch at the top and pull away. Should come off relatively easily. Then we're going to remove a 10mm bolt that's holding it in place. You'll notice that it's nice. It's not there and very hard. And then just wiggle the ignition coil out. I'm just making sure that there's no dirt going to go in there. Now we're going to go in and get the spark plug. So make sure you get good perch on the spark plug and then just wind it out. I've sped it up a little bit, but you get the point. So let's just take out the spark plug. You see the spark plug is in reasonable condition. But we're going to swap out the spark plugs, and to be quite honest, I'm kind of glad because they've got Bosch spark plugs. In general, I'd only recommend Denso, or basically Japanese spark plugs. These are what would have come in the vehicle out of the factory, so that's Denso. So it's a case of popping the spark plug back in. Make sure you get it in there. Make sure you get it to thread properly. Put it in by hand. Tighten it down as far as you can go by hand. And then what I'm going to do is just tighten it up with a small wrench. I wouldn't use a big one here. You don't want to snap this off. It's going into an aluminium block. Just make sure it goes in so it's nice and snug. Do not over tighten it or you're going to have a world of problems. Pop back in the ignition coil. Pop back in its screw, its bolt that keeps it in place. Tighten this down. Do not over tighten this at all. It just needs to go in to hold it in place and reconnect the electrical connector. What I'm just showing you here is you will notice the third along from the left of the engine, from the left of the crankshaft on the left hand side of the engine. You'll notice that this one, the coil won't come out, and that's because the wiring harness behind the plastic cover is actually stopping it from coming out cleanly. So I'm just showing that what you've got to do here is loosen the bolts that hold it onto the engine. There's like little studs coming out the engine. You need to loosen these up in order to get that ignition coil out. I mean, you could try and force it past, but I'm not going to do that. I think it's far easier just to loosen this plastic cover for the wiring harness up and then just pull the coil pack past it. So I did try and sneak it past, but that wasn't possible. It's got to come. Those nuts have got to come off. Those bolts have got to come off, and you've got to raise that harness. Don't go tugging on it to try and pull it out of place because you really don't want to cause any damage here. You're just enough room so that you can get the ignition coil past it without causing any damage and without bending it at all. Okay, so it's just a case of repeating it. Make sure you get good perch on the spark plug, make sure it's on, take it out, and then just swap it over a new one. As I said before, just make sure you thread it in nicely and do not over tighten these aluminium block. If you do not want to shear the threads, you're going to have a big problem. Pop the coil pack back in, and what I did next was, once it was in, I put the bolts back on, the nuts back on. So the bolts back on for the wiring harness. It's a little bit fiddly, but just tighten those back down just to make sure it's they're snug. And then once those are back on, then put in the 10mm bolt for the actual ignition coil. And that's pretty much it. Thanks very much for watching. Thanks for watching Box's Car Fix. Take care. Bye bye.